What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. Well, these NBA playoffs are getting legit. I mean, this has been a great NBA playoffs so far, but especially this round. I mean, so far, all the series, other than the Boston Celtics series, have been very close, and they are coming down to the very end. So let's actually go ahead and start it off with the Boston Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Game 4. There was no Donovan Mitchell in this game, and the Cleveland Cavaliers actually played a very solid game against the Celtics. And the Celtics, while they got the win, 109-102, there were some points in this game where you were like, is Boston really this dominant? And if they were actually playing against a good-ass team, would they even win this series? And I mean, with no Donovan Mitchell, the Cavaliers they actually had a lead at one point in this game. But Boston got their act together, and they did get the win. Jason Tatum had a phenomenal game. He dropped 33 points with 11 rebounds. And then Jaylen Brown had a good game as well, 27 points, 8 rebounds. Then in Game 5, it was more of the same with the Celtics. They did dominate the game, technically. But for the most part, I mean, Cleveland really stayed in it. No Donovan Mitchell yet again, but Boston did come through with the win. They got the win 113-98. Jason Tatum had another good game, 25 points, 10 rebounds. But Al Horford, 95-year-old Al Horford, that dude is still in the league. He's been in the league 17 years now. And we all talk about how great LeBron is for still staying in the league and playing at a high level. Well, we got to give props to Al Horford as well. This dude has been playing at a high level his entire career as well. Hell, even in college, the dude won national champions when he was with Florida. So, you know, he's been playing a high level of basketball his entire life. And he is money, especially come playoff time. And in this game in particular, he had 22 points and 15 rebounds. He actually became one of the oldest players of all time in playoff history to have a double-double with that many points and that many rebounds. So shout out to Horford for still putting it in year 17. And now officially the Boston Celtics have moved on to their third straight Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see who they're going to match up against. Either between the Knicks and the Pacers. We'll find out more about that matchup this weekend. But, Boston can sit pretty. They can, rest whatever minor injuries they may have suffered in this series. Plus, who knows, maybe they'll get Porzingis back for this next, for the conference finals. But third straight one for Boston, and we'll see what they've got in this matchup. But, I've continued to say it about Boston, even though they've been playing really well for the most part. They have these moments where you're like, are they really that good? And I feel like if they were playing a much better team than the Cavaliers ended up being in this series, it probably would have they may not have lost the series, but it would have got pushed to the brink. And they probably, I wouldn't doubt them losing some series here, especially depending on who they face between the Knicks and the Pacers, because I feel like the Knicks could really give them a difficult time, but we'll see what happens. But right now, Boston is the first team to move on to the conference finals, and they will sit and wait and see who their opponent is next week. Then moving on to the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks series. Game 4, it was pretty much all about Oklahoma City. It was a battle. Actually, what I've loved about this series, out of all of the series so far, this has probably been the biggest battle. There really hasn't been a runaway game from either team. Both of the stars have showed up when they've needed to. So this has been the best series so far, I feel, in this round. So in Game 4, Oklahoma City got the win 100-96. SGA went off 34 points and 8 rebounds, and he really just carried the load for this team. And then in Game 5, Dallas got the big win, 104-92, and Luka had a triple-double, 31 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. And you know what? Like, Luka, this guy's injuries have been piling up. Just, it feels like each and every game he gets more and more beat up, but yet there he is. And there he is in Game 5, really putting the team on his back and carrying the load. And SGA is doing the exact same thing for Oklahoma City. I mean, that's what the thing I love about this series is. You look at SGA, dude is carrying his team even in the loss. But same with Luka for Dallas. Dude is carrying the team even in a loss. Now with Luka, he's pretty much it. Kyrie Irving, where the fuck are you, dude? Now, he could still show up, of course, but he has not had a good series so far, at least in my opinion. Game 6 is Saturday night. Dallas is up right now 3-2 on the series, and they could win and take it all, or we could end up in a Game 7. We'll see where we're at Saturday night, but this series has been fan-fucking-tastic, and I wouldn't be shocked if we're talking about a Game 7 on Monday's show. Then moving on to the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers. Game 5, straight up Knicks domination. And not just Knicks, Jalen Brunson. The guy is cold. The guy is cold. He is breaking ankles on the fucking court. This guy is just phenomenal. Is pretty much the only word I have for what Jalen Brunson has done, not only this season, but the last couple of seasons. Brunson has just been fan-fucking-tastic, and I'm here for it. But it was just all Knicks all night over the Indiana Pacers, 121-91. Brunson dropped 44 points and 7 assists. The guy has been carrying the load for this team through so many injuries. I mean, you feel like at some point these injuries are going to catch up with the Knicks, and yet here's Jalen Brunson with his middle fingers up like, nah, I got this. And, talk about a dude who's playing through injuries, just like Luka. Brunson is too. It feels like every game he's suffering more and more bruised and batterings at every end of the game. But, he doesn't give a shit, and he still shows up every single game. Game 6 is tonight. The Knicks are up 3-2 on this series, so they could close it out and head to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we could be talking about that matchup on Monday. Or we're going to see a Game 7, which I wouldn't be upset with, and I wouldn't be surprised by either, because, since Indiana got their asses beat in this last one, I don't expect them to lay down. Because, A, they've got to win this one. This one is a close-out game, so they need this one. They're going to be at home, and both the home teams have been playing really well, so don't be shocked if Indiana gets this one. But the Knicks, they are just looking damn good, and we could be seeing them versus the Celtics here. But Game 6 tonight in Indiana. And then final series we're going to talk about here, Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Talk about a battle. Now, the reason why I feel like the OKC versus Dallas Mavericks matchup is a little bit better is because they've been closer matchups. There's been one game where the Timberwolves got blown out in this matchup, and then there's been a game we're going to talk about where the Nuggets got blown out in a matchup. So there's been a couple of matchups that just haven't been close at all. Game 5 was one of them. Game 5, Denver smashed Minnesota 112-97, and it wasn't even close. And this was a big one from Jokic. Dropped 40 points, 13 assists, and 7 rebounds. So almost had a triple-double, but he had a double-double. Jamal Murray really stepped up in this one. He had 16 points. And then Aaron Gordon, this guy, he knows when to show up. I mean, he's been solid ever since the Mavericks, ever since the Nuggets traded for him. He's just been such a great addition to this team, and he had 18 points and 10 rebounds, so he also had a double-double, but it was just a straight-up domination by the Nuggets. But Game 6 was the complete opposite. Minnesota dominated. Now, it started off where it looked like Denver was going to dominate, and then all of a sudden the Timberwolves took a timeout, and boom, they never looked the fuck back. They went on some crazy run. I think it was like 27-0 run. It was crazy. And then they just never looked back. They got the win 115-70. So Denver got smashed. Anthony Edwards had a fantastic game with 27 points. And we have us a Game 7 in this matchup. Sunday night in Denver for it all. I am not surprised that we're getting a Game 7 with this one because they are division rivals. These two know each other really well, and they're both two extremely talented teams. I took Denver in this matchup, but Minnesota's really made it a very interesting matchup. And really, if Minnesota's able to play Jokic the way they played him in this past game in Game 6, Denver's going to have some issues because Jokic he still had a solid game, but he wasn't as dominating as he normally is. And that's because Minnesota really stepped it up defensively. Both Gobert and Cat really were in the paint, in his face, double teaming his ass, and they made it very difficult for him to pass. They made it very difficult for him to shoot. And if they want even a chance at winning this series, they got to do that exact same type of defense on Jokic. But that's tough to do and easy to say because Jokic is the MVP for a reason. And in a Game 7, I'm going to trust a Jokic over the Timberwolves. But you never know. This series has been crazy, and we get us a Game 7, which I'm excited about. Moving on to baseball, in the week of baseball, we had some big performances as well. In baseball this weekend on Tuesday. I was talking about Chris Sale on Monday and just kind of the season he's been having with the Atlanta Braves, a really resurgent type of season for him. Well, he continued that on Tuesday night in a 7-inning shutout. The Braves did get a huge win over the Cubs, 7-0. Sale had 7 innings pitched and 9 strikeouts. And then Michael Harris Jr., he also had a huge game as well. He smashed a home run. And the Braves starting to get hot at the right time of year. I mean, it's only May, so they have plenty of time to really get things going. But Chris Sale, man, the season this guy has had so far, none of us expected. As a matter of fact, me personally, I've pretty much written Chris Sale off the last 2 seasons. He really came on strong when he first hit the league, but then he went to the Red Sox and he just could not stay healthy. And then here he is with the Braves, just having one of the greatest seasons of his career so far. He is an injury-prone player, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him suffer some type of injury later in the season. Hopefully he doesn't, because I'm really enjoying what I see from him. But this has just been a great season for him, and he continued that this week. Then on Wednesday, speaking of a great player, but he started off the season slow, Aaron Judge. Has put the league on notice now. He started off the season slow, and I hope y'all enjoyed that slump because Aaron Judge is now officially out of his slump. The Yankees got a big win over the Minnesota Twins, 4-0. Aaron Judge not only had a home run, but he had 3 doubles on the night. He's never done that in his career, so that's the first time he's ever done that. And he's back. The dude is back, and he's on fire. And yes, I know the Yankees own the Twins, but still, Judge has been on fire the last 2 weeks, and he's getting back in MVP form, it looks like. Then also on Wednesday night, speaking of amazing performances, Ranger Suarez with the Philadelphia Phillies got his 8th straight win on the season. The dude has yet to lose a game this year. Phillies got a huge win over the Mets, 10-5. And speaking of getting hot, Bryce Harper kind of started off the season like Aaron Judge, a little bit quiet. But now Harper is on fire. He had 3 RBIs and a home run in this game. And the Phillies just look damn fucking good in every way, shape, and form. You really got to watch out for this Phillies team. I know it's only May, but this team is damn good with the starting pitching lineup that is just fire. And then you got Harper right here. You got Trey Turner. You got Schwarber, and then you also have what's his face? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the other outfielder. He's having a really quiet season right now. The guy they traded for him from the Reds. Oh, motherfuck, it's gonna bother me. I can't remember his name right now, but he's an outfielder, and he's not having a good season right now, but he's probably gonna get started as well, just because he's known to get started. He's just known to hit shit out of the park, and the Phillies are looking like a damn good team right now. And then last night, in a surprising win, the Cincinnati Reds got a big win over the Dodgers, 7-2. Ha-ha-hoo. It was all about Elly De La Cruz, man. This guy is such a phenom since he hit the league. He had 4 hits. He went 4 for 4 last night with 4 stolen bases and 3 runs. He is the 6th player since 1901 with 30-plus stolen bases in his first 44 games. It is something else. I knew this guy was going to be something else, and he was going to be fun to watch, and he really has been. Since the day he got called up, he has pretty much been electrifying to watch, and pretty much the only thing that the Cincinnati Reds have going for them, even though this was a big win over the Dodgers, who have just been smashing people to bits as well. But, Elly De La Cruz, the guy is money, and he's living up to the hype. And congratulations for the Reds, and thank you to the Reds for beating up on the Dodgers, because I will enjoy any time that they lose. All right, now moving on to the NFL because we can actually discuss NFL. Now, unfortunately, this is probably going to be the last we really go in depth on anything NFL because we had the schedule released this week. So we're going to talk about some of the, I guess, most anticipated games of the season. But this is it, y'all. I mean, now that we've had the schedule release, there ain't shit until training camp. Yeah, there will be some OTAs and practices here and there. We might hear about some holdouts and some certain, contract extensions might happen here and there. And then maybe some other little free agent signings here and there will happen. But for the most part, the NFL is done for the next 2 months until the end of July. So we had to enjoy this NFL schedule release. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and do the top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season. Now, it's, of course, difficult to even gauge what's going to be a good matchup at this point in the year because who the fuck knows what's going to happen with any team next season. For all we know, the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, they were in the Super Bowl last year. Well, they could end up being the two worst teams in the league this year. You don't know what's going to happen, but we can only gauge off of last year, so we kind of got to do that. Now, these are my top 10 anticipated games. So, of course, expect a couple Dallas Cowboys games in there because I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. So I am, of course, anticipating all of their games. No matter what happens this season, I always watch my Cowboys. No matter how good, no matter how shitty, no matter what, this bitch weathers the storm with the Cowboys. And so you're going to be hearing some Cowboys talk, of course. But these games, they're not, I put them in an order, but they're not necessarily in an order because I kind of feel like, hey, it's football and we're all excited about any football that happens. But I feel like these are the 10 best games that we have on tap, at least right now. So let's get started with the top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, beginning with 10. And that is the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs, which is the first game of the season. That's why I put it in here. To me, the first game of the season is exciting only because it's the first game of the season. I don't really expect a lot from most teams in week one because they're still figuring shit out. Basically, the first month of football is very sloppy. You're still figuring out the playbook. You're still figuring out which plays work for you, which plays don't work for you. Teams are still kind of working on chemistry between each other. So there's a lot that goes on in the first month of football where you're like, what is going on here? And so that's why I put the first game of the season down at 10, because obviously we're anticipating it and excited about it because it's the first game of the season, but I'm not expecting shit from either team. Yes, I know this is the rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year, and these are expected to be two of the top teams in the league this year, but who the fuck knows what we're going to get in this game? But it's the first game of the year, so of course, it's got to make the list. Then at number 9 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the season, I have the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. Why do I have this game on here? Because Caleb Williams, the first overall pick in the draft this year for the Chicago Bears, this is the first time he will be going up against the Green Bay Packers. And if you are a Chicago Bear, your rival is the Green Bay Packers. You always want to beat the Green Bay Packers. But ever since the Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers, and even into the Jordan Love era, they ain't able to even say this is a rivalry because the Bears can barely win. So Caleb Williams needs to turn this around, and he needs to get this win over the Green Bay Packers in his first matchup, which will be week 11. So we do have a while to wait for this matchup. But I think that's a good time frame because that's 11 weeks of Caleb Williams getting to know the NFL, getting the speed. So the Bears and himself might be more of a team going up against the Green Bay Packers team, but who knows? It's a rivalry game, and that's why I put it on here because I'm excited to see what Caleb Williams has for the NFL. I hope he ends up being exactly what he's expected to be, and this is a good start right here against the Green Bay Packers. We'll see what he's got. Then at number 8 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, I actually have 2 games here, and that's because for the first time ever, we are now annually it looks like, going to have Christmas Day football. I know that's upsetting to the NBA, but too fucking bad for you, us football fans. And I'm an NBA fan, of course, and I probably will be switching back and forth between both. For me, that's like double dip. I'm pretty fucking happy about now having NFL and NBA on Christmas Day. I ain't got no issues with that. But there are a couple things with this as well. Since this is going to start to now, Christmas Day is going to become an annual NFL thing. These four teams are kicking it off, but also the difference on this year with Christmas Day football is it will only be available on Netflix. So this is the first time that Netflix will be airing any type of NFL football. The two games we're going to get, the first matchup is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs at the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this could be a good game. Now you guys got to remember this is going to be the end of the season, week 17 to be exact. So we got a long ass time till we get here. So who knows what any of these teams are going to look like by then, but it's Christmas Day football, so we got to be excited about it. And then the second matchup is the Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans, which, I mean, if I'm looking at it right now, between those two matchups, the Texans and the Ravens is going to be a great matchup, whereas Kansas City at Pittsburgh, who the fuck knows what we're going to get with that, because it just depends on what the Steelers are. But like I said, it's Christmas Day football, and you know we're all excited about it. Then at number 7 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, why is this game on here? Because it's going to be the first time we are going to have an NFL game played in the country of Brazil. It's going to be week 1. This is a good matchup I think they're getting as well. You know, most of the international games tend to be meh, kind of weak-ass matchups. Out of all the international matchups, I think this is probably the best one, and especially because it's week 1, so you don't really know what you're going to get from either team, so it could end up being a fantastic game, or it could end up being a total shit show. Who the fuck knows? But it's the first time the NFL is going to Brazil. It's the first international game of the season, and it's week 1, so let's talk about it. Then at number 6 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, the Denver Broncos at the New Orleans Saints. And that's because this is the first time that Sean Payton will be going up against his old team. You know, he's with the Denver Broncos now. He took the New Orleans Saints and completely turned this organization around. They turned into Super Bowl contenders regularly. They were in the playoffs regularly in his tenure, and he just really turned everything around. So, is he going to be able to do that with Denver? So far, hasn't panned out that way, but this is only year 2 of the Sean Payton era in Denver, so we'll see what he's got here. But this matchup is in week 7. It's in New Orleans, so it's probably going to be a pretty emotional game for him, even though he'll probably play that down just a bit. But usually in those type of moments, your team backs you up, and the Denver Broncos probably going to back him up in that one. But who knows where we'll be at by week 7. Then at number 5 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, the Baltimore Ravens at the Los Angeles Chargers. And that's because this is going to be the first time the Harbaughs face off against each other, because now that we've got John Harbaugh with the Los Angeles Chargers, he's going to be going up, Jim Harbaugh. See, that's the thing about these Harbaugh brothers and their names. John is with the Ravens. Jim just now signed with the Chargers this offseason. And so this is going to be the first time in this go-around that they go up against each other. It's going to be a Monday Night Football game in Week 12. So that's going to be a good matchup, or at least an interesting matchup, just because it's going to be two brothers coaching each other against each other, and we'll see what happens in that one. Then at number 4 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, the Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this is, of course, a rematch of the NFC Conference matchup from last year, in which Detroit completely choked that shit away. They were walloping on the San Francisco 49ers, and then the second half started, and they just started to disappear, and then the Niners got the win and would ultimately lose in the Super Bowl. This rematch is going to be in Week 17 on Monday Night Football. This is going to be the Christmas week, by the way, so we're going to be starting the week off with those Christmas games, and then we get, we're going to be getting days after Christmas games, and yeah, that Week 17 is just going to be football galore for all of us NFL fans, and it's going to be ending with the rematch of the NFC Championship game between the Niners and the Detroit Lions. Then at number 3 on my top 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, I think this is going to be a good matchup, but I feel like I myself I'm going to care more about this matchup more than a lot of y'all, and that's because it involves my Dallas Cowboys. Houston Texans at the Dallas Cowboys is going to be a Monday Night Football matchup in Week 11, and this is the Battle of Texas. And right now, the Texans are actually, they had a solid season last year, so this is their second year in this new era of Texans. So I feel like the Texans are going to be a solid team, especially by Week 11. I, of course, am anticipating my Cowboys being a solid team by Week 11. So I think this is going to be not only a battle for Texas, but not that there is a battle, because if you live here, you know the Cowboys reign supreme, and ain't nobody a Texans fan until they're good. When the Texans are like right now, you'll catch a couple of Texans fans who actually are repping the team, but a couple of years ago they weren't repping the team because the Texans are terrible. But they pretend it's a battle in this state, but it's going to be a good matchup this year, and I'm just expecting it to be a fun matchup, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm a Cowboys fan. Then at number 2 on the Tropp 10 most anticipated games of the upcoming season, the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers. This is in Week 7, and this is the Super Bowl rematch. Kansas City broke San Francisco's hearts yet again in another crazy Super Bowl between each other. But we'll see what happens in this one. Kansas City will be headed to San Francisco, and we'll see if San Francisco gets their revenge. And it doesn't matter because Kansas City still beat them in 2 Super Bowls. And then at number 1 on my Tropp 10 most anticipated games of the season, my Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be a Sunday Night Football matchup in Week 8. I, of course, am looking forward to this matchup because, A, it's my Dallas Cowboys, and B, can we just fucking beat the 49ers for once? Like, it's getting ridiculous how much the Niners have owned us over the last year. So not only can we make this a good game, but can we win? Could we fucking win this one for once? And that's why it's number 1 on my list. Because out of every game on the Cowboys schedule that I looked at this year, and yes, this includes the fucking Eagles and any division matchup, I want to see us beat the Niners more than anybody. It pisses me off that not only have we lost playoff games to them, but we just can't beat the Niners. Can we just beat the Niners for once, Cowboys? Please. Please. But we'll find out. We got a long-ass time, though, until we find out. Now, we're going to end today's show on I think, a lighthearted note. And I haven't done this segment in quite some time, but we have us retarded hysteria of the day. Now, today's retarded hysteria of the day happened earlier this week with kicker Harrison Butker. He's a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. He's actually one of the best kickers in the league, so we'll give him that. But he had himself, at least according to some people, not myself included, had made some very controversial remarks as he was giving a commencement speech at some unknown school I couldn't give 2 shits and a fuck about, and nobody even really cares. That's probably why he made these inflammatory remarks, is so people would talk about him. But I digress. But he made some comments, basically, because this was a Catholic school that he was doing the commencement speech at, and it's shocking that he was able to do one. I guess they don't have any crybaby protesters at this graduation. I could talk more retarded hysteria on that topic, but this is a sports show. Anyways, so he was doing his commencement speech, and like I said, this is a Catholic school, so they're a bit on the conservative side, I guess. I don't know. I've never done no research on the school, but regardless, it's a Catholic school. So he decided to make his speech basically about how women should just be housewives, and their calling is to have babies and be housewives and blah, 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 and how gays are an abomination to God, and Pride Month is, I can't believe this exists. And then in a great twist of irony of him, tearing down women, he then throws a Taylor Swift lyric in there, which is just really funny because Taylor Swift is probably one of the hardest working women on the face of this planet, one of the most successful as well. So that's pretty ironic, but he had to do that as well because that's a good way to get the news talking about you. But anyways, the fact that people are getting all upset about this is amusing to me because, for one, it's just an opinion. He's not a leader in any way, shape, or form. And it's just an opinion. That's one of the things I hate most about our society is like, you get so upset over opinions. The dude didn't do anything. I didn't see him holding down any women while he was giving this speech or holding down any gays while he was giving this speech. Just because he doesn't agree with those points of views in life doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean he doesn't think they should exist. It doesn't mean he's even holding them back. He's just expressing a point of view. And quite frankly, I think he was expressing the point of view just so people would talk about him because he's a stupid kicker. For Christ's sake, he's a stupid fucking kicker. That's my whole point in all of this is that, like, I'm not offended by anything of that he said, and guess what? According to his comments, I'm an abomination type of woman for him because I have no interest in getting married. I'm near 40 years old, and here I am, not married, with no kids, and have zero interest in any of those things, and have had zero interest in either of those things since I was 15. I'm a hard worker. I'm a feminist to the core, basically, and he, from his comments, might not like me, but we might actually get along because unlike most of y'all, I don't hear somebody's opinions and go, oh my God, they must be the worst person ever. They're just fucking opinions. They don't hurt you. They can't do anything to you. They're fucking opinions. And P.S., this is a kicker. So who the fuck cares what a stupid ass kicker has to say? That's why this is the retarded hysteria of the day for me, because he's a kicker. You are the most replaceable, most useless fucking person on the team. You serve an important role, but you're the goddamn kicker. And that's why he had to make these comments, because no one gives a flying fucking goddamn about the stupid ass kicker. So y'all go be offended. I'm going to sit here and give two shits and a fuck like usual. But, hey, Harrison Butker is not going to be excited about me being a woman and going on with my day and being independent and not having babies and not serving a man for the rest of my weekend. And I'm going to live it up and enjoy that life that I live. So just remember, he is a kicker, though, and no one gives a flying fuck about what a kicker thinks or says. No one gives a fuck about a kicker. The end. All right, y'all. Enjoy the weekend of sports, and I will talk to you fools on Monday.